41 in Panama. We also have Forum Europe that will be presenting on the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference in Jamaica. Ms. Bernadette Lewis will be speaking on the Commonwealth Telecoms Organization. She's the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Telecoms Organization, former Secretary General of the CTU. Pleased to have her on today. And the IEEE GEM conference taking place in June in Italy. Last year, that conference took place in Barbados. This year, it's in Italy. And for those of you interested in the IEEE GEM conference, we'll be hearing from Mr. Alberto Canabo. We'll also be hearing from Mr. Albert Daniels on the upcoming ICANN 80 policy meeting, high-level policy meeting in Rwanda. And we'll be getting into just a few trends in the industry in 5G, and also an update on artificial intelligence. The UN has a high-level process that is ongoing that will culminate in the Global Digital Compact at the Summit of the Future in New York, and we'll get an update from Dr. Craig Ramlal on that process, how that is going, and what are some of the policy recommendations shaping up in terms of artificial intelligence globally. I want to start it off by talking about our 50th Executive Council meeting, which is taking place in Belize, and that's April 11th to 13th, our 50th Executive Council meeting. The CTU, we report here at the Secretariat to an Executive Council. They're made up of permanent secretaries and chief technical advisors to our ministers. And we meet with them twice a year to report on our financial situation and on the work program, and update them as well on activities that have taken place every 6 months. So I'll just share a few slides. I have 3 slides. There we go. Screen mode. Great. So our 50th Executive Council meeting is taking place in a beautiful Belize, place called San Ignacio. And we will also be having our inaugural ministerial retreat, where we'll be developing the next 4-year strategic plan for the CTU. And we will have also a ministerial seminar. I believe it's our 21st ministerial seminar. So the Executive Council, for that agenda, we have a secretariat report. As I mentioned, we will report on the activities that we have done since meeting in Barbados last October. We will present the audited financial accounts for the CTU for 2023 and our work plan, our ongoing work plan for 2024. We'll have special presentations from the private sector, including Huawei, who is one of our headline sponsors, and the presentation from a regulator, the Eastern Caribbean Telecoms Authority, and a presentation from the UN Office on Drugs and Crime on related to child online protection. For the seminar, actually, this is where Huawei will be presenting on 5G. What is happening globally with 5G, and what is happening in the Caribbean with 5G, and we'll have the Chief Technology Officer from the GSMA presenting on that topic. We'll have the experience of Brazil, spectrum allocation and network construction. Belize will be sharing, Brazil will be sharing its experience. Now, while the Executive Council meeting is closed, the ministerial seminar is open. So just have to register to participate, and this is taking place on the 11th of April. We'll be speaking a bit about green energy as well, looking at a case study in the Jamaican agricultural sector. Many of our ministers have dual portfolios for information and communication technology, as well as energy. And so this issue of energy, clean energy, renewable energy, smart energy is a topic that we follow very closely. And of course, major topic for everyone, artificial intelligence. We're happy to announce that we have the participation of Dr. Cosmas Zabazawa, who is the Director of the Bureau of Telecoms Development, elected in 2022 in Bucharest, Romania, at the ITU Plenipotentiary Conference, and he'll be gracing us with his presence for the first time since being elected, and supporting us in our strategic planning process, and of course, engaging with how the ITU and the CTU can work more closely together. We have engaged some consultants to help us in the development of this strategic plan. They will also be in Belize to guide us through the planning process. And that's it really for the 50th Executive Council meeting, our 21st ministerial seminar, and our inaugural ministerial retreat. I'll stop sharing, and I will hand over to, I don't see Bevel on, but I see Nate Davis, and I know Nate very well. And so I will invite Nate to talk to us about the upcoming ARIN 53, which is taking place in Barbados from April 14th to 17th. Nate?
Yes, thank you, Secretary General, and hello, everyone. Pleased to provide an update on some events forthcoming in the Caribbean. I'm going to talk about two events that'll be occurring between April 14th and April 19th in Barbados. The first event will be ARIN 53, which is occurring beginning that Sunday, the 14th, and concluding Wednesday, the 17th. And the highlight of that event is actually the Caribbean's own Brent McIntosh of McNett will be presenting the keynote address on Monday afternoon. In addition to Brent's keynote address, there'll be policy discussions throughout the meeting, as well as department reports occurring on Wednesday. Caribnog 27 will also be held during that same period, during the period of Wednesday, the 17th through Friday, the 19th. We begin in the morning with a RPKI workshop, which is to establish and set up ROAs. Wednesday afternoon will also be a Wednesday roundtable discussion where there will be a number of business leaders from the Caribbean community to not only hear more about ARIN, but also to talk about what their needs are specifically within the context of ARIN's charter. Thursday will be an all-day Caribnog meeting, and that'll have a number of events, including some deep dives into items of technical importance to the Caribbean community, as well as a featured address. Caribnog will conclude on Friday with an IPv6 workshop, again being held by Brent McIntosh. And again, that's going to be Friday morning, and we expect Caribnog to conclude by noon on Friday. That concludes my update on that week's events. I'll take any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. There is a question. Well, it's ready for all presenters to say whether there's any virtual participation, online or remote participation for any of your meetings. Let me just say for the Executive Council, no, that is closed for the Executive Council members. I believe we are streaming the opening ceremony and a few aspects of the conference, and we'll share those through our regular communication channels for the meeting taking place in Belize. But Nate, for ARIN, will there be is there remote participation?
Yes, thank you, Secretary General. Remote participation will be available during the ARIN portion of that week, the meeting Monday through Wednesday. And as far as the Caribnog event, the event will be live streamed, and there will be some remote presenters. But the important key difference there is that it's going to be live streamed, not necessarily remote participation for the Caribnog piece of that meeting. And I encourage everybody who is not already to please register for either or both events if you haven't, and you're planning to participate either in person or remotely. Thank you.
So one other question I would like to ask. This is Trevor Pravat from the CTU Secretariat. I was just wondering, For the Aaron 53, for our member states who are on the call with us, why would you say it's important for them to attend the meeting?
Oh, so that's a great question, and thank you for that. So I think most importantly, if for those members that are not familiar with the responsibilities, the mission, and the charter of an RIR, and how we can how an RIR provides services throughout the Caribbean, I think it's a great opportunity locally to get involved with that, one, and two, understand the policy discussions that surround an ARIN meeting. The policy discussions have to do with how ARIN issues internet number resources. And when I use that term, I mean IPv4, IPv6, and autonomous system numbers, how we issue those resources to its members. And we certainly appreciate and really endorse having Caribbean involvement in that, in those discussions. As you know, of course, IPv4 is somewhat depleted, but occasionally we do still have availability of IPv4, and there are IPv4 policies that have set aside some v4 for both IXPs and also for IPv6. So when we talk about digital independence and digital transformation within the Caribbean, those aspects of the availability of IPv4 are critical for deploying IXPs and also IPv6 for future development of the internet in the Caribbean.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nate. Don't see any further questions. I encourage you to, if you can, just drop your registration or the website for the conference in the chat for our online participants here today. And thank you again. We'll go on now to Mr. Luciano Maza de Andrade. He is with the Brazilian Internet Steering Committee, and he'll tell us a bit about Net Mundial Plus 10 workshop, which is taking place in Brazil from April 19th to 30th. So if you're there, Luciano, there you are. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your kind invitation, Secretary General Rodney Taylor. Very brief. I'm the Brazilian representative at GAC, at ICANN. And here in Brazil, I'm the director of the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation, Foreign Affairs, which is the department that is in charge of most digital issues in the international arena. As you know, I think everybody that's more directly engaged in the digital discussions, in digital governance worldwide, know that we're going through a very dynamic and relevant time in international discussions, with relevant discussions going on, the United Nations, G20, many other international fora. They're currently discussing important issues that involve digital governance, digital affairs in general, and more in particular as well, internet governance. And in our case in particular, we decided to organize an event that is both a celebration of the Net Mundial that happened in 2014, but more than this, is a kind of effort to update a little bit the discussion on digital governance. We had this event in 2010, in 2014, and it was a very specific international context. We had the Snowden revelations at the time. There's there is a technical process of transition of the IANA in the ICANN. So it's a very specific international context at the time, and that's reflected in this original Net Mundial. At this point, we want to update a little bit those discussions, but a very strong focus on multi-stakeholder participation, multi-stakeholder governance. So the main objective of this event right now is, let's say, to assist and to contribute to a reinvigoration, let's say, of the multi-stakeholder model or model of participation, discussion in different international arenas. And for that purpose, this event is organized also in a very in a completely multi-stakeholder fashion. At this point, we have a high-level executive committee that was established to organize the process of participation in this event. We have launched, there was a joint statement that was launched in the beginning of the process to invite and invite the engagement of different stakeholders worldwide. And we have now launched a set of consultations, and I can leave the link in the chat here for those who want to participate in this event. To give you an idea of the kind of discussions that we are focusing on, is to reconfirm the stakeholders' commitment to the internet, to the Net Mundial Internet Governance Process principles that were discussed in 2014. Try to further the evolution and implementation of the multi-stakeholder approach as a basis for inclusive governance of the digital world. And also try to strengthen discussions on mechanisms and structures in order to further and improve the multi-stakeholder approaches and protocols to shape better discussions in this field. As expected outputs of this process, we would ideally have improved process principles for the governance of digital issues from a multi-stakeholder perspective, a framework of shared guidelines for multi-stakeholder consensus building and decision-making that could be applied in different relevant international fora at different levels. And also to have a commonly agreed set of areas for improvement in the multi-stakeholder governance of the digital world for the future attention of the international community. As I said to you, we are now having a consultation process that is going on. Based on the responses that we will receive from this consultation, there will be a consolidation of a document that could be the outcome of this event. And of course, during the event, we'll have a continuous processing of this material to have hopefully a constructive and meaningful result of this process. The idea, of course, is to have this as inputs, as an input for discussions that are going on in the UN. For instance, you have this Global Digital Compact is under consideration right now. As you know, there's expectations and concerns by many stakeholders in the digital, let's say in the community that is more directly involved in digital issues, with the way the decision-making process for this GDC is being considered. So they want you to follow this closely. The idea is that the results of Net Mundial plus 10 can be part of these discussions. I think that's basically what I wanted to convey to you. I can put in the chat here some links of the event. Right now, for participation in person, the registration has been closed. But if there's any specific interest for representatives of governments, I think that's something we can try to address if there's any specific interest. And participation remotely and also via streaming will be provided. So I just here perhaps to encourage you to get involved, anyone that might have interest in this agenda, and I'm here to if there's any questions or issue that you want to address and to ask me, please feel free to do so. I think that's basically my intervention, Mr. Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Luciano. And you said the registration for online participation is closed, but I take it there's still an opportunity. Sorry, for in-person participation.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, all right, but there's still an opportunity to register to participate remotely.
That's correct, and also have still a possibility to register for participation remotely, to watch the event in streaming. And as I said, if there's any specific interest in particular, because as it's organized on a multi-stakeholder fashion, there's a kind of limit of participants to ensure a certain balance in the participation. But for instance, for governmental representatives for governments, we know that probably we won't have that many people. So if there's any specific interest for any colleague from the Caribbean to attend, they want to reach out on this, we'll be happy to assist on this. And again, the remote participation registrations is still fully open in our website. Okay, just remind you that in Brazil, as you know, we have a system of managing the DNS for the internet that is fully multi-stakeholder. So actually, I'm speaking on behalf of the Brazilian government. This event is organized by CGI, who is the Brazilian Internet Steering Committee. So just to give this credit to those guys organizing the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we know that there's a zero draft of the Global Digital Compact. You did mention the UN process. Will that document itself be discussed at the meeting, or do you have high-level representation from the UN?
That's a good question. Well, we know that Amandeep, the tech envoy, has confirmed participation in Net Mundial. So I imagine that discussions will perhaps touch on issues that are being considered in the debates of the Global Digital Compact. And as you know, I think I could have some very preliminary reactions from different stakeholders in relation to this first draft of the GDC. And what we see, there is some concern from different communities in the way this draft frames the multi-stakeholder perspective, in particular when it comes to discussion on the IGF. As you know, the IGF is nowadays the main forum for discussion of the internet. Over time, the agenda of the IGF has evolved to consider and discuss many issues of the digital transformation of the digital economy that go beyond the technical layer of the internet, as you all know. And now I think a lot of people might be concerned that in the way the discussion is being conducted for the GDC, there might be some effort in, let's say, look, the IGF is only to discuss the internet and not to discuss any other digital issues. So we see there's a lot of discussions already starting on this, and I'm sure that certainly will be a topic for debate during the Net Mundial Plus 10.
Okay, thank you very much again for that presentation. Well, there is a question about the requirements. I assume that there's no registration fee and it's open, but can you clarify that as well?
No, yes, absolutely. No registration fee. No, absolutely no registration fee.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So we are going to move on. I don't see any other questions, but thank you again for that presentation and wish you success in the hosting of that conference in Brazil.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, we'll now move to Mr. Trevor Pravat here to my right, who will speak a bit about our 35th anniversary celebration. We are having an open house, and Mr. Pravat will tell you all about it. That's taking place April 23rd to 26th.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, no problem. Yes, good afternoon, and glad to be here to be able to just tell you a little bit about what we're doing for the CTU's 35th anniversary. We've themed it along the lines of digital waves, navigating the future of Caribbean connectivity. The actual dates, in fact, go from the 29th of April to the 1st of May. The dates that you were just told were the original dates, but we are using the opportunity of a number of our member state ministers in Trinidad and Tobago to actually have them come to the CTU Secretariat headquarters. So we shifted our dates to the 29th to the 1st of May, instead of the dates that were originally mentioned. So on the 28th of April this year, the CTU will be celebrating its 35th anniversary of its coming into being. We have 20 member states, as many of you will know, and many of our member states are here with us. We have numerous private sector, specialized government agencies, and civil society members as well. To celebrate this landmark occasion, a 3-day series of events is proposed, and it's under the theme that I mentioned, navigating the future of Caribbean connectivity. The events will take place from Monday the 29th through to the 1st of May, right here at the CTU headquarters in St. Clair, Spain. The objective is really an open house. Of the open house is for you, our stakeholders, to get to know us better. It will be a technology immersive and informative experience that we've designed to showcase the crucial role that ICTs and, as a result, the CTU itself, the organization that the Secretariat of, plays in the regional ICT landscape. Over the 3 days of activities, it's anticipated that we'll have over 200 guests visiting from our headquarters here, from governments around the region. As I mentioned, we're hoping that a number of our member state ministers will be here, representatives of CTU members from the private sector and specialized government agencies, other partner organizations. We hope to see ICT industry leaders, technology enthusiasts, importantly, students, both secondary and tertiary, members of the diplomatic corps, and generally members of the public interested in technology, and of course, very importantly as well, the media. I urge people who are interested to become an exhibitor with us. We're going to transform our courtyard here at the Secretariat, where we can exhibit things, artifacts in particular. So we invite our partners and stakeholders based here in Trinidad and Tobago to come and exhibit here with us at the Secretariat. It's an opportunity for you to showcase any artificial ICT artifacts that you may have in your archives. Really, we've been reaching out to various organizations, Telecommunications Authority, the telephone company, and now TSTT, of course. Those sort of organizations have these artifacts and they're going to share those with us. And we ask other organizations that have artifacts that we could demonstrate on their behalf, or they would come to demonstrate. We'd be happy to have them here. The following key activities will take place during the week. We'll have a mini technology career fair displaying highlighting careers in STEM, cybersecurity, AI, and more. We'll have technology games and quizzes, and we're also going to have a CTU Innovation Challenge. Challenge, which will be launched soon, is a competition inviting tertiary and secondary school students to identify and share their solutions to pressing ICT challenges in the Caribbean. So more about that will be shared in the near future. We would be very grateful if the folks on the call today, if you will share this information about the CTU ICT anniversary celebration with your network and to help us make this celebration of our 35th anniversary a huge success. I just want to add quickly that we also had planned to include in our anniversary celebration Girls in ICT Week. So when it was the previous week, the 25th of April was the day that the UN had declared this year's Girls in ICT Day. So we are actually still going to hold an event here at the CTU Secretariat. The UN this year has focused its day on leadership in order to highlight the importance of women not just being in, but also leading in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As in previous years, we're happy to be once again collaborating with RSC. RSC is an organization, Restore a Sense of I Can, ably led by Mr. Raj Ramdas, joining with him again in that network, which is regional in its scope. The CTU specifically has invited 4 schools from the Port of Spain and environs area: Tranquility Government Secondary, Mormont Laventils Secondary, St. James Secondary, and Woodbrook Secondary Schools. We're inviting girls in the name of those schools. I think it'll be boys who support them as well. Yes, okay. We importantly for the youth that we're hoping to attract to this event, we are going to use a local social media influencer, DJ Anna. She's been with us for the last couple of years. She is very popular amongst the youth, and she will be hosting the event on our behalf. We're also going to have included speakers, young people who have had fellowships, who received fellowships from the CTU and others to attend recent ICT international events hosted by organizations such as ICANN. And they're going to speak to the girls and others on available opportunities in ICT. We're also going to have an interactive session that will allow the students to see the practical applications of ICT in everyday life. So overall, we hope the Girls in ICT Day will be an opportunity for girls to broaden their understanding of the various aspects of ICT concepts, to enhance their problem-solving skills, and above all, we hope to ignite in some of the girls attending who will attend a passion for innovation, particularly ICT innovation. So we hope that many of you, if possible, will join us in celebrating CTU's 35th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds very exciting. I wouldn't want to miss it.
It will be, I'm sure.
To take us down a memory lane for these old cell phones and how they've progressed over time. Sounds very interesting. Thank you very much for that. Just a few comments here. There's a comment about the discrepancies on the revised dates, because the dates on the website have not changed. So if you can just verify again the dates.
Dates, okay. Thank you very much, Michelle, for that question. Yeah, the dates are from the, not here. I'm looking at the wrong piece of paper.
Well, what we could do is just make sure that the website.
Yeah, we will certainly. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. I apologize for that. We got the Secretariat. But the dates are from Monday the 29th through to the 1st of May. Okay, and the 1st of May is the Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And also a comment from Deirdre. Don't forget that now plainly evident importance of arts in ICT. So STEAM versus STEM. So including the arts as well.
STEAM, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions or comments. So thanks for that update on the CTU 35th anniversary. We'll now move on to LACNIC 41, and here to tell us about that is Mr. Miguel Nacho Estrada, who is the Chief Strategic Relations Officer for LACNIC. LACNIC is a CTU member, and we're very pleased to collaborate. And I look forward also to participating in Panama. But tell us about that, Nacho.
Hi everyone. Hi Rodney. Thanks for the invitation. Regarding LACNIC 41, it's as you were mentioning, it's going to be held in Panama from the 6th until the 10th of May. We'll have many activities there, including a Caribbean Day on Thursday 8th. And besides that, we're going to be having, as we usually do, tutorials on things like IPv6, RPKI, and many other protocols for the internet. We're going to be having our first experience on an internet governance seminar for policymakers. We will be inviting policymakers from Panama and other countries. As far as I recall, there are going to be someone from Trinidad and Tobago and invitees also from South America and Central America. It's going to be obviously closed for policymakers. So if any of you is working for government and has the intention to travel to Panama, please let us know so we can include or send you an invitation for this seminar. Besides that, I just want to highlight two programs we're launching or we recently launched at LACNIC. One is the R&D Ambassadors Program, Research and Development Ambassadors Program. This program seeks to formalize collaboration between technological leaders in the community and LACNIC. It's to achieve our strategic objectives for advancing internet infrastructure and development in the LAC region. The idea is to identify professionals interested in conducting R&D in alignment with LACNIC's infrastructure development activities. The application is open until April 15th. And within this program, LACNIC will provide a series of benefits like presenting the results of the research at LACNIC 43, the development of personal brand and training regarding that, and also we have budget for ambassadors tasks. And the other program I wanted to highlight is the Leaders programs. Leaders is I would say it has 4 years now. It's 4th years of this program. The idea is to provide funding and mentoring to support research on selected internet governance topics. We have we're gonna give access to 1.5K dollars for the investigations of 16 investigations, access to mentors with their expertise on those global IG issues. And also successful applicants will have a 3-month period for a brief research project funded by this 1.5K I was mentioning. Within that group, we will be selecting 8 that will then become policy shapers, and those will be invited to our event and then will be granted with some training on different tasks, different themes that they will be deciding. So that's it from us. I'm gonna be posting the links in the chat in case you need any other information. Thank you very much again for the invitation.
Thank you, Nacho. I'm aware there will be a panel as well on the issue of fair share and internet usage fees, network usage fees. Is that the case? And can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, exactly. I totally forgot about that. And I've been working all day regarding that panel, so I left it out of my mind for this session. Yes, we'll be having this panel on Wednesday morning. Since we already had a panel where we tried to like put into place the different positions the different actors had within this topic. This time, the idea is to give an update on what's happening regarding that topic in Europe, in our region, and specifically, well, we invited you, Rodney, to give us an update on what's happening within the Caribbean, and we have people from Mexico, and the idea is just to know what happened through 2023 and what is happening through this year. Regarding fair share, sending party pays, and those kind of initiatives to see how the world is going regarding that.
All right, thank you very much. It is a topic that is occupying our attention here as well, and it's an ongoing discussion we have with the operators and with the big tech companies. So I look forward to participating in that panel and hearing some views as well from around the world. I don't see any other questions. I see the links posted here, so thank you for your presentation. And we will go then straight into the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference, which is being hosted in Jamaica, May 14th to 15th. And Mr. Dan Kraft, I'll invite you now from Forum Europe to tell us a bit more about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Secretary General, and hopefully everyone can hear me okay. And I'm just going to try and share my screen, if I may, as well. To show a few slides. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to again come and present at this meeting. It was an honor to be here earlier this year to kind of launch and to give some of our ideas on the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference, and great to be back here now to provide a quick update on what we're planning with the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference. So we as a company are the organizers of the Global Spectrum Series. So it's a series of regional spectrum management conferences which take place all over the world. We have, or until this year, we had 6 different regional conferences taking place in Europe, North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Middle East and North Africa. And each of those conferences brings together key stakeholders in the region for a discussion on the main spectrum management topics, talking on issues from WRC, connectivity more broadly, key spectrum bands and things like that, to have that discussion on those key spectrum management topics for the region. And we're delighted this year for the first time to be launching an event specifically for the Caribbean region. So it's going to be the aptly named the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference, which, as Secretary General just mentioned, is going to be taking place in Jamaica on the 14th and 15th of May this year. And it's going to be taking place actually alongside a CTU Spectrum Management Task Force meeting, which is going to be taking place on the 16th of May. And I think somebody is here to talk about in a bit more detail shortly. So the event, as I said, is going to be in Jamaica. We've actually recently announced the venue. So we were looking initially to hold that in Ocho Rios, but with our partners in Jamaica, we're now delighted to confirm that the venue for the event is actually going to be the Montego Bay Convention Center in Jamaica. And as you can see here, that's going to be the venue that both the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference and also the Spectrum Management Task Force meeting are taking place. So it's on concurrent days, and the event is going to be in Montego Bay at the Montego Bay Convention Center in Jamaica. When I was here last time, I talked briefly about some of the key topics that we were going to be potentially focusing on at the event. I wanted to maybe give an update now and to run through the key sessions, the key topics that we're going to be focusing on specifically at the event. As I mentioned at the start, we do try and use the event to look at all of the key spectrum topics for stakeholders in the region. And we've been consulting with a number of people from the regulatory side, from industry side in the region to get their thoughts on what are the issues that keep them up at night, what are the issues that really are the main topics to be focused on when it comes to managing spectrum and to connectivity in the Caribbean region. And from that, we have now put together a list of topics and sessions that we're going to be covering over the 2 days of the conference. All of the sessions are going to be interactive, discussion-based. We're going to have regulators there, and I'll talk a little bit more in a second about some of the organizations and groups that are going to be part of the event and are going to be coming to speak at the event. All of the sessions, though, as I said, are discussion-based, and we're going to have stakeholders from different groups participating there. So we get not long presentations, but a real kind of debate going, and try and use that to make some real progress on talking through the issues and discussing the issues and looking at the challenges and hopefully working towards some of the solutions. So to briefly work through some of the topics that we're going to be looking at. One thing to mention, first of all, at the start of each day, we are going to be having a special breakfast briefing that's going to be organized by two companies who are experts in spectrum policy internationally. That's Ether Consulting and NERA Consulting. So they're going to be running an hour breakfast briefing on each day to give those people who maybe aren't familiar with all of the issues that are going to be covered during the main sessions during that day, a chance to come and listen to an introduction to some of those key themes, key issues, and really help to feed then into the discussions that happen later on in the day. So as I said, it's going to be held over 2 days, and you can see here the sessions for the first day. We're going to be starting as ever with some keynote addresses. We're going to be having a number of the key policymakers from our host country in Jamaica and across the region coming to deliver welcome and feature addresses there, and have a high-level roundtable, really introducing the issues and looking at how we can work together to make spectrum work for the Caribbean region. And then as we look to kind of move into the more specific issues that we're going to focus in the sessions through the day, WRC 23, of course, is going to be a big focus. We're going to have a number of people coming to talk about WRC 23, to talk about the outcomes, what they mean for the Caribbean region, to talk also about the next steps, what's going to be the next steps given those outcomes from WRC 23, and also looking forward to WRC 27, of course, with the agenda items for that already now been set, and looking forward to what that means and what the key topics are going to be over the next 4 years as we lead into that. Looking at towards a spectrum management policy framework for the region, looking at what the challenges are of maybe looking towards making closer collaboration and what the benefits of that can be. And as I said, I think this is going to feed nicely into some of the discussions that will then take place, I'm sure, at the CTU Spectrum Management Task Force meeting happening the day after. Looking then at the UHF, the digital dividend ban. So looking at kind of what progress has been made across the region in analog switch off and switching to digital broadcasting, and what can then be done, what benefits can be brought about, and what are the strategies to use that spectrum that becomes the digital dividend based on that. And then a couple of sessions. I think one of the big bits of feedback we've had from speaking to people in the region is the importance that people see of satellite and non-terrestrial connectivity. So we have a couple of sessions focusing specifically on that. First of all, looking at how we can harness the potential for the region and looking at things at direct to device, looking at the NGSOs, so kind of SpaceX, Amazon, Project Kuiper and things like that, and the others who are kind of starting to deliver super fast connectivity through the satellite ecosystems, and what can be done to make the most of those. So looking at licensing issues, regulatory issues and things, and how we can make the most of that. And then specifically a session focusing on licensing and authorization for eSIMs. I'm understanding a key issue for the region when it comes to kind of cruise ships and delivering connectivity, and also on in the aeronautical sector as well. So looking at licensing for eSIMs as well. And then after a long first day, we're going to need to relax, I think. So we're going to finish the evening off with a networking reception, and we're delighted we're going to have musical entertainment and bands playing at the reception there, and that's going to be provided by Sennheiser, who are one of our partners for the event. And then quickly on to the second day. So again, continuing the focus on those key themes, key bands. First of all, we're going to be looking at some of the mid-band frequencies. So 2 mid-band frequencies that in particular are some of the most discussed, both in the region and also internationally, and we're a big focus of those discussions going back to WRC as well. So first of all, the C-band, looking at what's the right band, but right balance, sorry, between the different users in the C-band, looking at kind of the satellite users, looking at mobile users, MNO, and what's the right balance there. And then again, that balance question in the 6 gigahertz band. Big discussions internationally have been going on about the future of the 6 gigahertz band, and there's definitely a number of different perspectives that have come up there. So looking at kind of what are those different perspectives are, and what does that mean for the Caribbean region, and what is the right approach and the best approach for Caribbean countries as well to look at the 6 gigahertz. Looking then at 5G, looking at roadmaps that are emerging for 5G in the region, what the benefits of 5G could be, and what kind of strategies are being seen. Maybe bringing in some of those countries, both in the region and elsewhere, who are maybe a little bit further forward in their journey towards 5G, to look at kind of best practice and some lessons that can be learned from there. And then moving on to the last few sessions, looking at the digital divide, looking at how we can connect unconnected communities, and how spectrum policy can help to tackle that. A session on spectrum licensing, pricing, awards. We'll have some experts coming in to talk and give a masterclass on what the best practice is and that side of things. And then finally, the role of spectrum in disaster relief, emergency management, and how we can use spectrum to create more resilient networks when it comes to times with hurricanes and more disasters and things like that, and what can be done with the spectrum to make the most of hopefully helping in those situations. So that's a very brief run through the program. The full program is available on the website, and I'll provide the web link for you all in a second. I talked about some of the speakers from the regulator in Jamaica and also the ministers there being part of the event. We're delighted to already have a huge amount of interest in the event from both within the region and also outside the region. So we're going to have a number of key stakeholders coming together and being part of the event. And you can see on the screen here just some of the organizations who have already confirmed their involvement at the event. So we're delighted to have regulators from in the region, from countries like Jamaica, Belize, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Grenada, St. Martin, and Trinidad and Tobago have all confirmed they're going to be there at the event. And we're also delighted to be bringing in some key stakeholders from outside the region. So I think at events like this, we find across all of the series, yes, it's important to have that discussion within the region, but regions can learn from each other as well. So people can come in and see about the experiences in the Caribbean, and I'm sure learn from experiences in the Caribbean, and also share their own experiences and lessons that can maybe be taken. So we have confirmation from the regulators from Brazil, from Anatel in Brazil, from ANFR in France, BNetzer in Germany, from CTEL, who are also going to be there, Ofcom in the UK, and also from the FCC in the US, who are going to be sending a delegation as well. So delighted to have, as I said, that high level of regulatory participation both in the region and outside the region as well. And then on the industry side too, we have a wide range of different industry stakeholders that we're going to be working with on the event. You can see obviously CTU, and yeah, we're honored to be working with CTU on the event as a major partner. And alongside that, on the industry side, is organizations like Amazon, Kanto as well, are going to be a key partner for the event in the region. And you can see as well Ericsson, GSMA, Jasoa, Intelsat, Nokia, Viasat, and other experts as well. So a wide range of different stakeholders from across the field, which is great as well. So we're really looking forward to welcoming as many people as possible. I should have said the event is fully in person, so it's not going to be virtual. I think we really want to use it as an opportunity to bring the community together, both in the region that are coming in from outside the region as well. So it's free to attend. There's no charge for anybody at all to attend, and it is free for everyone, and we'd love to see as many of you there as possible. Registration is open. You can see the website there, and I will also share that in the chat very shortly as well, so you can visit the website and find out more information there. And then we're also still do have a number of speaking and partnership opportunities available. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in the event, in having a more active role, participating in the event, then we'd love to hear from you. My contact details are there, and I again will share those in the chat on the screen here now. So yeah, really looking forward to hopefully seeing you and welcoming as many of you as possible to the event, and meeting as many of you as we can in person, and really excited to be for the first time coming to the Caribbean, and yeah, very much looking forward to coming and hopefully seeing you all in Jamaica. So I think that's everything from me. So thanks so much again for the opportunity, Secretary General, and I will pass back over to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. I think you've answered, we had a question, but I think you've answered it, whether it includes French, Spanish, and Dutch Caribbean as well. But based on what your last slide, it should, right?
It absolutely does. Yes, we definitely want to have be inclusive and include all of the different countries and islands in the region. So yeah, absolutely, we're looking to involve all of those. And I think also with people like ANFR coming over, so from France. So when we're talking about the coordination of spectrum policy in the region, when you have countries such as France and the Netherlands, for example, who are managing and working with countries in the region to manage that spectrum, it's how does that work with that coordination and things across that. So yeah, absolutely looking to involve as many countries as possible, and also some of those from outside the region who are also involved in things there. So yes.
Thank you. We'll go to part 2 really of this presentation, which is the meeting of the Spectrum Management Task Force, which is taking place in conjunction with this Spectrum Management Conference. And here to tell us about that is Mr. Alvin Augustine, who's the chair of the Spectrum Management Task Force. Over to you, Alvin.
Yeah, thank you, Secretary General. And it's a pleasure to be invited to this event. So I'll just quickly share my screen. So you let me know if you could see the presentation.
Yes, so if you could just put it in the presentation mode.
Well,
So you should be seeing it in presentation mode now. Thanks.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so yes, as you heard from our colleague Dan, there's a Caribbean Spectrum Management meeting, which would be happening in Jamaica. And task force, the Spectrum Management Task Force meeting will be held after that. So just a little background for the benefit of our colleagues on this event, what exactly is the Spectrum Management Task Force? It was formed in 2006 and is a multi-stakeholder technical group formed by the CTU to develop harmonized spectrum management policies for Caribbean countries. The task force is made up of stakeholders from spectrum management agencies of Caribbean countries, the CTU Secretariat, representatives of Caribbean telecom operators, academia, broadcasters, amateur radio operators, as well as other stakeholders. Oversight of the task force is provided by the Spectrum Management Steering Committee, which provides general and and broad policy oversight on the work of the task force. And normally the work plan or the action plan of the task force is presented to the steering committee for review and approval. And the task force will try to meet at least once a quarter, whether it be virtual meeting or in person. Some key goals of the task force include regional harmonization of national frequency allocation plans, including common frequencies and common protocol for emergency management, as well as spectrum management policies. We also look to harmonize or minimize cross-border interference. We try to take a proactive approach with issues related to cross-border interference, as well as encourage member states into enter into agreements with cross-border agreements, frequency agreements as well. And we also are there to look at common approaches to matters such as licensing of satellite operators, digital switchover, spectrum pricing, a few other matters that we try to harmonize our policies in the region. In terms of our work plan, which we call the action plan, we recently met in February of this year through virtual platform. And we have basically agreed to 7 thematic areas for the 2024 work plan. And these areas include the regional frequency allocation table, where we look to harmonize priority bands for emergency communication, IoT innovations as such, including Wi-Fi and TV white space. We look at harmonizing the spectrum management policies to facilitate new and emerging technologies and services for socio-economic benefit of our member states. We also look at spectrum policies related to emergency communication and disaster relief. So with the assistance of the CTU and the International Amateur Radio Union, we also look at conventions that member states could accede to, such as the Tampere Convention, as well as the International Radio I forgot the exact name, but the Inter-America Radio Amateur Reciprocity Agreement. Exact name escapes me right now. But all these assist with assisting member states in terms of emergency communication, where spectrum is concerned. We also look at developing or adopting common spectrum pricing policies for our member states, especially for the high value spectrum, such as 5G spectrum. We also, under the work plan or the action plan, we also will begin discussions around WRC 23, including basically looking at the outcomes of the recently held WRC 23, which was held November, December of last year. So we look at the outcomes, and we'll also make plans on how we approach the upcoming WRC 27, looking at agenda items that are of interest to our Caribbean stakeholders. We're also looking at the digital switchover, looking at how we assist our member states in developing policy for digital broadcast and switching off of analog transmitters. We also maintain our current information for operational coordination, which is basically a database of our regulators in terms of having that contact information up to date and relevant. So as you heard in the previous presentation, there is a meeting to be held in Jamaica, and it's scheduled for May 16th. And this meeting will follow from the Caribbean Spectrum Management Conference. Now, it's planned to be in person. So we are hoping that we have a full membership participation by our task force. And at that meeting, we'll also discuss the action plan, as well as recap on the outcomes of WRC and identify the key agenda items going into WRC 27 that the Caribbean countries should be paying particular attention to. And also in that upcoming conference, we'll also reconstitute the task force, as well as election of chair and vice chair of the Spectrum Management Task Force. So we're looking forward to having all our task force members participate in this coming meeting in Jamaica. So I will take a pause for questions or any comments.
Sure, thank you very much, Alvin. Have a question?
Alvin, you'd mentioned that one of the things that the task force is looking at is minimization of cross-border interference. I recall a number of years ago, Secretariat and CTU was looking at not just cross-border interference, but actually when cruise ships in particular coming in to territories. I think it was BVI in particular. That will be part of what the task force will be doing.
Yeah, we're discussing matters that are of relevance to our member states. One of it is, besides the coordination agreements between member states, especially countries that use the European model for spectrum allocation, we're also looking at other nagging issues with spectrum, including licensing and authorization of the new satellite services, as well as how we as a region pool our spectrum resources to deal with these issues. I think we as a grouping can get better traction if we come together and look at these policies and adopt best practices.
Thank you, Alvin. Well, did you don't recall if you mentioned whether you have private sector participation or presentations in that meeting as well?
Yes, we are hoping, I believe in that conference, we are hoping to hear from our stakeholders, including industry members on certain matters. And we normally invite the GSMA to speak on IMT matters, as well as the satellite industry and other stakeholders as well, our broadcasters, to provide input into the task force.
Thank you. And this is a perennial question with respect to virtual participation. Of course, not everyone is able to make it, and so there are some rumblings for persons who are concerned that whether or not they can participate remotely if they're not able to make it.
We normally try to facilitate virtual participation. However, since our last meeting was virtual, we're actually looking forward to seeing everyone in person. We want to switch it up a bit.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for that. I don't see any other questions or comments, so I'm going to move on so that we keep.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And thank you as well. We'll move now to Ms. Maria Celeste Fuenmayor from the Inter-American Telecommunication Commission, also known as CTEL. This is an organization within the Organization of American States. And she's here to tell us about the 44th meeting of the Permanent Consultative Committee, PCC1, which is taking place in Panama from May 20th to May 24th. So, Maria, over to you, please.
Thank you, Ronnie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Maria Celeste Fuenmayor. I'm from CTL, the Inter-American Telecommunication Commission, that is part of the OES. Thank you for having me this afternoon. We would like to talk about our upcoming event, that is the Permanent Consultative Committee 1, Telecommunications ICT. I would like to share my screen, if you don't mind, Mr. Ronnie. I don't know if you have
Sure.
access to share.
Yes, please go ahead.
You see my presentation now?
Yes, you can go to presentation mode.
You got it? Thank you so much. So CTEL, the structure of CTEL is, it is, as I indicated at the beginning, it is part of the OES, and CTEL have two specific committees that they working in telecommunication, ICTs, and radio communication. Those
Sorry,
two,
sorry,
yes?
Maria. Yeah, it's still not in full screen or presentation mode.
Oh, yes, I have it in full screen presentation mode.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
see. Probably it's because I have two screen.
Probably, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
showing.
what about this one?
But that's fine. We will work with it as it is. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So this committee is the permanent PCC1 committee is treat all the information and activities related with policy and regulation standardization as well as ICT. Our second committee is related to radio communication that is taking care all regarding spectrum and satellite orbits. And CITEL Secretariat as CTU, it is part of the administrative body that helping and support and assist this committee and the CITEL Assembly in all activities regarding this committee and all the events, meetings, and all the initiatives that through the committee we can support our member states. The PCC1 structure has three major working groups. These three major working groups are related, one on policy and regulation, the other one is regarding deployment of technology, and one of our most important working group is the one who working for the preparation and follow-up of the big and international conference, of ITU conference. In this case,
Sorry,
yes.
Maria, to interrupt again, because the slides aren't advancing as well.
It's no sync. Oh my God.
We're still on the first one. Yes,
let me try one more time to share the screen.
yeah.
You got it now?
It's still the same, but as long as you advance the slides, then it should be okay.
Okay. Now, do you see any changes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I indicate, the PCC1 have three major working groups. One of the most activities related in the coming years are the working group in preparation and follow-up for the international work conference. In this case, this group working in specific for the World Standardization Telecommunication Assembly, and as well as the World of Telecommunication Development Conference. So in preparation for these meetings, we're going to have in May our PCC1 meeting in Panama, in where we are going to have our third preparatory meeting of CITEL for the WTSA, as well as we're going to have, the activities related for our all working group, but we're going to have some special sessions regarding the progress of the technical assistance and implementation of the initiative that Connecting Unconnected. As well as we're going to have another workshops regarding the alternative coverage models in remote and underserved areas. And this is something that we are related and we're working all those activities trying to connect in the unconnected. Besides that, we're going to have an joint event that we call Informa Session with the CTU to raising awareness and create capacity regarding the abuse of the DNS. Basically, this meeting will be very busy in Panama, and we would like to come with your participation, your CTU members, as well as all the members of the Caribbean, because due to this location, it is facilitate the participation of this event. In this event, it is going to be a physical event. Unfortunately, we don't going to have remote participation, so we encourage our member states and through CTU encourage the member states of the Caribbean as well. The participation is the most because it's going to be the third meeting in preparation for this assembly. So we would like to have your participation and count on you in this special event. Besides that, we're going to have this activity, and I would like to focus in the preparation of CTL for WTSA. This preparation is in full move, and this is underway through our chairmanships. That is, our chair is Ms. Ena Decani from USA, and the vice chair is Mr. Joao Sanon from Brazil. To facilitate this activity, to facilitate this work and the preparation for this assembly, we divide the activity in 3 working teams. So we have divide the activities in 3 major teams. That is work program, working methods, and standardization issues. As you see in this screen, the work program is led by Canada. The working method is led by USA and Mexico, and the other working teams regarding standardization issues, that is topic in thematic resolution, is led by Brazil, with the support of the CITEL Secretariat, in this case, Mr. Oscar Leon and myself. In that preparation, I would like to show you the timeline. So we are in this preparation for 2023, since 2023. So we are doing some interim meetings in between in order to facilitate this activity. As you see in this timeline, we have just 4 meetings, formally meetings in preparation for this big event. So this is why we are working remotely and virtually to complement this activity. So the following interim meeting that we are going to be held this coming April 18 at 10 a.m. So everybody's invited to join us in this meeting, and we're going to be focused in the standardization issues. So in this regard, in the next meeting in Panama, where we're going to be trying to finalize many of the IPs and collecting more support for the already IPs that already are approved. So as you see in this timeline, you're going to notice that we have just 2 more meetings to complete this work. So this is what is important, the participation, and the third meeting in Panama, it will be the limit meeting. So this is the last meeting that we're going to be has a second contribution in order to prepare and complete the work for the WTSA. Based on that, I would like to present the current status of our preparation. At that time, as the last meeting in October 2023, we have 2 Inter-American proposals already approved, and we are on the way for draft Inter-American proposals. To summarize what are our status of this preparation, I would like to highlight the preliminary proposal is the contribution of the document that is presented for 1 member state and is submitted to this committee to be analyzed and to be studied and to be discussing about the topic itself. The draft Inter-American proposal is when this preliminary proposal has been supported for at least one of the administration. And this draft Inter-American proposal, taking the Inter-American proposal status, is when it's supported by 6 administrations. So in this regard, we have 2 Inter-American proposals that are already supported by 6 member states. In this situation, I would like to highlight to you that for the 3 major working teams that I'm mentioning at the beginning of the presentation, we have one DIP that is related with the modification of Resolution 99. It's regarding the structuring of the study group for the ITUT. We don't have any DIP or IP regarding to the working methods, but we have 2 IPs regarding standardization issue. That is, one is relating with Resolution 72, that is a no change, and Resolution 87, that is a no change. In the same time, we have 3 DIPs for the same standardization issue that is related with cybersecurity, conformance and interoperability, and counterfeit. So I would like to start my presentation here. We would like to thank you, CTU, for the opportunity to CITEL to present the status of the PCC1 as well as the status of the preparation of CITEL for WTSA. And I'm your disposal for any question or comment that you guys have. And I would like to invite you guys for our meeting in Panama.
Thank you very much, Maria. Do we have any questions? Right. What has been the level of support for those IAPs and DIAPs from the Caribbean?
Yes, and if you give me a second, I can show you the table of support. But as I remember right now, I don't remember any support right now from the Caribbean, but I don't want to making you wrong information, but you give me a second, I open the table of support.
Sure. All right, so we'll be tracking that very closely on our side as well, and discussing those IAPs at the regional level. I think, Nigel, maybe there's an opportunity to raise it at our executive council meeting, just at least to have a brief presentation on it, with a view to getting some support where it is useful from our member states. And that was to
noted.
Yeah.
So you have in your screen the table of support as of October, because to collecting support has to be in a formally meeting in PCC1 or by email to the CITEL Secretariat. If somebody from the CTU member state would like to support any of our IAPs, can do that by mail with to the Secretariat, or will be during the meeting, physical meeting in Panama meeting or Brazil meeting in August. So I show you right now for the IAPs, we have for the first IAP 1, Resolution 87, we have Argentina, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Mexico, US, and Uruguay. And for the IAP 2, that is regarding Resolution 72, we have Brazil, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, USA, Paraguay, and Uruguay. For the DIP that are draft Inter-American proposals that are in progress, that are still working and they are still in discussion, we have 4 DIPs, and they are the Resolution 97. You have Canada, USA, Paraguay supporting that origin by Brazil. DIP 4, Resolution 50, US and Dominican Republic, original by Canada. DIP 5, Resolution 76, and its origin source is Canada and is supported by Brazil and Paraguay. And DIP 6 is modification to Resolution 99, origin source Canada and is supported by Uruguay. All this information is available at CTEL website. If you have your username and password, you can have access even for the document as well. But I would like to support in any matter to CTU if you want to make any contribution or as well support one of these IP or DIP. I can send in you the documentation as well so you can have it in your hand and you can share with your member states as well.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that information. And I'm taking a note that we also need to raise this at our executive council meeting next week in Brazil. In Belize.
Well, that's great.
In Belize. But thank you very much for that. We're going to move on just to keep our agenda on track and move to Bernadette Lewis, who is no stranger to us. She's the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Telecoms Organization, immediate past Secretary General of the CTU, who will be telling us about CTO's Digital Week taking place in London. Go ahead, SG Lewis. If you are speaking, we are not hearing. But we can see the slides, not yet in presentation mode. Mic is open. Her mic is open or muted. Okay, so your microphone is on mute if you're speaking.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yes, sorry about that. Good afternoon or good night, good day, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And thank you, Secretary General, for the opportunity to present at this forum. I'd like, first of all, to congratulate the CTU on their 35th anniversary of service to the Caribbean. And I'm now at the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization. And the CTO is the oldest and largest institution of the Commonwealth dedicated to information and communication technologies. So last year, we defined a new strategic course to support members on their digital transformation journeys. So all of the work we do is designed to support our members as they seek to transform their operations and so on. So our digital week is happening in the United Kingdom, right? Yeah. And I'm very happy.
Okay, perfect. Good. Yeah, right. Thank you.
Great. I am very happy to talk to you a little bit about the activities. Digital Week is a series of ICT activities that will take place from the 20th to the 24th of May. And it's going to feature, as I said, several ICT events. The first one being what we call Cyber Keys. It's an immersive cybersecurity event designed to help our members and participants recognize, avoid, and respond to cyber threats. So the purpose of this activity is to raise cybersecurity consciousness. And you'd recognize we live in a hyper-connected world. And more and more of our everyday life activities are happening online. And therefore...
Sorry to interrupt, Lewis. There is the comment that we can't see the slides, and well, they're now being advanced, so I hope everyone is now able to see. If you're not able to see, just drop it in the comments again, but I'm now seeing them being advanced.
Okay, then, thank you. So, as I said, the first event is Cyber Keys 2024. It's designed to present the benefits of the technological revolution that enables us to live or transact more and more of our activities online. So we will be demonstrating the benefits of a hyper-connected world, and also then showing and demonstrating in real-time practical experiences the destructive potential of these technologies. So, and the purpose is, I know a lot of people are concerned about, not having remote participation, but this is an immersive experience of the cyber threat landscape. And this will be happening from the 21st to the 23rd. Cyber Keys is happening from the 21st to the 23rd of May. Alongside Cyber Keys, or in that framework, we will be engaged we will be launching our research program. We've been engaged, the CTO has been engaged in a research program, a research project for digital transformation within the Commonwealth. We are looking at countries and examining what they are doing to digitally transform their administrations. So at the Cyber Keys event, we will be launching the results of this project on digital transformation in the Commonwealth. And because we recognize that there's a need for the justice sector to transform digitally, we will also have in this time a special outreach to the CTO justice sector. And this is also aimed at enhancing cybersecurity awareness and providing tools to enable the judiciary to and legal people in the legal sector to move forward with their digital transformation programs. So all of these things are happening in our Cyber Keys initiative. The Justice Sector Symposium that I've just mentioned will be happening in partnership with the Caribbean Agency for Justice Solutions. And that is going to be on the 23rd of May, 2024. All of these activities are happening at the Royal Society. There is a registration fee. It's £550 for non-members and $250 for members. So this is what is happening. I've mentioned the digital transformation, the results of our digital transformation project on the 23rd of May. And finally, on the 24th of May, we will be having one of our statutory meetings, the 62nd Council of the CTO, and that takes place at Marlborough House. That is a members-only activity, and that is where we look at the progress we've made with the implementation of our strategic plans and what we will be doing going forward. So that brings me to the end of this brief presentation. Thank you again to the CTU for the opportunity to talk about what the CTO will be doing. And I'm looking forward to, any questions anyone would have, I'll be happy to answer at this time. Thank you.
Thank you as well, SG Lewis. For clarification, is the meeting, the Digital Week, is it aimed primarily at the policymakers, the ministers of government of the CTO member states, and the Cyber Keys? That is, it sounds like it will be a technical exercise, and therefore is it aimed at the technocrats?
Not just the technocrats. It's aimed at public officials, senior people. And it doesn't have, you could be from any sector, really, because the whole issue of cybersecurity touches every sector. So it's not at all limited to policymakers. It's open to all who have an interest, whose lives are increasingly being conducted online. This is the program for them. And the Justice Symposium will be primarily for practitioners in the justice sector. Yeah, so it's a special outreach to them, so that the Justice Symposium is primarily for the attorneys general, the law enforcement officials, judges, and so on within the justice sector.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. Okay, great. Thank you. I don't see any further questions, so appreciate your contribution. We will move on to Mr. Sai Navoti. Mr. Sai Navoti of he's the chief of the Small Island Development States Unit in the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. You may be aware that there is a SIDS-4 conference, Small Island Development States Conference, taking place in Antigua and Barbuda. And we at the CTU are working in partnership with some of the Pacific Islands and other small states to host a second Internet Governance Forum for SIDS. And Nigel Casimir, the Deputy SG, will tell us a bit about that after Mr. Sai Navoti speaks. So over to you to tell us about the fourth SIDS in Antigua and Barbuda. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you kindly, Rodney, and a good afternoon to everybody who are tuning in into this conversation. I will first of all say that on behalf of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations, thank the organizers for inviting us to make this very short briefing on the preparations for the fourth International Conference on Small Island Developing States. I'm cognizant that I have to share this 10 minutes slot with the Secretary General, and I will try my very best to be quick. And also I apologize to colleagues who are joining us who are probably aware of what is happening. You might be in a position to hear this particular presentation or this particular briefing twice. But for those who have not, I hope you'll find this of some benefit. The fourth conference on Small Island Developing States is now confirmed, and it will be held in St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda, from the 27th to the 30th of May this year. The overall theme of the conference is charting the course towards resilience prosperity. The conference aims at assessing the ability of small islands to achieve sustainable development, including the 2030 agenda and its sustainable development goals. Now, it will result, according to the desire of the United Nations General Assembly, with an intergovernmentally agreed, focused, forward-looking, and action-oriented political outcome document that will address the special needs and vulnerabilities of small island developing states for the next 10 years. So this is a conference that will adopt the sustainable development priorities and agenda for small islands for the next 10 years. Now, procedurally, as also was decided by the General Assembly, the United Nations Secretary General had appointed the head of our department, Mr. Lee Junhua, Under Secretary General, to be the Conference Secretary General, and also appointed the High Representative for least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, Madame Rahab Fatima, OHRLS, to be the special advisor for the conference. Now, to prepare for the conference, I just have to tell colleagues that last year, 2023, there were 3 regional preparatory meetings in all the 3 regions of small island developing states in the Pacific, in the Caribbean, and in the islands of the Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and the South China Sea. And there was an interregional meeting of all these 3 groupings of islands that took place in Cape Verde prior, where they, the small islands, agreed on a group position to bring to the intergovernmental negotiations that is currently taking place. Now, on that, the General Assembly also established a preparatory committee to prepare the organizational, the procedural, and the substantive preparation for the conference. The first meeting of the prep committee was in January from the 22nd to the 26th. There was a one-day meeting that took place last year to adopt the procedure for the conference. And the second and last meeting of the committee is currently being undertaken at the United Nations headquarters in New York from the 1st to the 5th of April. And today, of course, is the 3rd here in New York. So this is the procedural aspect, Rodney. Let me now just briefly go on to what is being negotiated, the draft outcome document. Now, the draft outcome document, colleagues, sets out the sustainable development objectives of small island developing states, and also stipulates the type of support that is required of them from the international community to enable them to meet these aspirations or implement the requirements that are there. Now, SAIDs have identified the following issues as their top priority right now. One is to build resilience economy. Second, to foster safe, healthy, and prosperous society. Third, to achieve water, food, and energy security. Fourth, conserve biodiversity. Fifth is to protect and sustainably use the ocean and its resources. And lastly, to halt and urgently mitigate the adverse effect of the impact of climate change. Now, to meet these ambitions, the SAIDs are calling for the increased access to concessional financing through expanding multilateral lending, enhancing the voice and the representations of small island in international financial institutions, and incorporating vulnerability into the allocation of concessional finance, accompanied by support to sustainably manage their debt levels. Now, these efforts of SIDS, according to them, will be futile without the urgent and action and implementation of the Paris Agreement and the scaling up of climate finance. While a number of paragraphs, as I observe the negotiations that are currently taking place, while a number of paragraphs are closed, significant diversion still exists on the issue of climate change, of energy, on security, and member states at the expert level are busy negotiating as I speak. But as of yesterday, 40% of the language of the draft outcome document have been agreed at REF. Now they're working on the remaining and they are progressing towards the end of this week. Now, if adopted, the outcome document of the 4th Conference on Small Island will be known as the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for Small Island Developing States, in acronym ABAS. Now, let me move on to the conference itself, which will be taking place in Antigua. Now, this conference will feature an opening and a closing plenary, and the member states and through the General Assembly have agreed that there will be 6 plenary meetings, and this will be accompanied by 5 multi-stakeholder interactive dialogues. Now, these dialogues, if I can just quickly inform you of the themes of this dialogue. Dialogue number 1 is making climate change finance work for SIDS, building on the outcome of COP28. The second dialogue will discuss the topic, enhancing critical form of financing and aid effectiveness through collaborative partnerships. And then the third interactive dialogue will be discussing leveraging data and digital technologies and building effective institutions for a resilient future for SIDS, something that this conversation might be interested in. And then the fourth is the investing in human capital, addressing health crisis in SIDS, and building the potential of youth in small island developing states. The last of the interactive dialogues will discuss the issue, revitalizing SIDS economy for accelerated and sustainable development growth. Now, according to the proposal circulated by the host, this dialogue will include or will feature 2 co-chairs, which are at heads of government level, 2 resource person, and a facilitator. So the organization of this is currently being undertaken at this stage. Now, the Secretariat, of course, of the United Nations is working very hard and assisting the government of Barbuda in the preparation. The final country visit to Barbuda to inquire and to see the status of their preparation will leave New York next week. And hopefully after that particular last meeting, we will be ready to go. So for the interest of those who are joining us this afternoon, if you are thinking or if you're attending the Fourth Seeds Conference, I would advise to please consult the website of the conference, and you can find that at the Department of Economic and Social Affairs website. There is a special page for it, but more importantly, the registration page, where you will find the different categories of participants. Decide which of the categories that you fall under, and please register so that you will be able to, by the time you come to Antigua, you'll be able to participate in the meetings and in the conduct of those conversations. So, Rodney, I think I will hold here and yield the floor to Nigel. Sorry, Secretary General, if I have taken a bit of your time. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Over to you, Nigel.
Thank you very much. Hopefully I'm being heard loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so charting a course to resilient prosperity. That's the overall theme of the SIDS-4. And in that vein, of course, everyone recognizes the key role that digital technology would play in that. And the CTU is happy to report that we've been granted a side event during the conference in which we propose to convene the second Small Island Developing States Internet Governance Forum. The first one was held a couple of years ago in 2022 when we collaborated with representatives from SIDS across not just again the Caribbean, but in the Pacific, in Africa, Indian Ocean, Mediterranean, and South China Sea, the AIMS region as is sometimes called, to engage in a global discourse on those internet governance issues that are relevant to small island developing states, but not necessarily being addressed in a collective way in any of the traditional institutions that deal with ICT. And we held that first conference over the course of about 3 days, and it went quite well. And the fact of SIDS-4 in Antigua and Barbuda was seen as a great opportunity for us to convene a second one to address basically the overall theme of the SIDS-4. Now, those of you who might be familiar with Internet Governance Fora would know that what is done is that it convenes a multi-stakeholder forum, government, private sector, civil society, technical community, academia, and so on, basically to address governance matters related to use of the internet and digital technology more generally. And given that everyone is looking at digital transformation as a way to achieve progress and prosperity, certainly this opportunity we couldn't miss. We were very, very happy to hear just a few days ago, actually, that we were granted this side event. The limitation, though, is that for the side events of the SIDS-4, they're basically limited to 90 minutes. So we are going to have to be very focused in what we address and very determined in terms of the pointedness, the applicability, and the overall relevance of our outputs to the work of the SIDS-4. So initially, in terms that would be our key objective in terms of the SIDS IGF itself. But of course, it would help us to also to maintain our globally visible and build the reputation of this SIDS IGF platform going forward. We also would try to take the opportunity to help sustain the work of this SIDS forum going forward, and it will also help us to ensure that all stakeholders, including all those marginalized and remote communities in the SIDS, are heard. All right, by making as many opportunities available as possible. In terms of the themes that we propose to address in the discussion at the SIDS IGF, the second SIDS IGF, certainly resilience, as mentioned in the overall theme, building digital resilience. We also be looking at economic diversification through digital innovation, digital inclusion for prosperity, governance and policy for a resilient digital future, and leveraging digital solutions for environmental sustainability. All of those areas you would have heard mentioned before just now by Sai with respect to the overall SIDS-4 conference. What we have to do in these next few days now is hone our draft agenda in a way that we can produce at the end of our special side event some specific notes and recommendations for input into the SIDS-4 at the end of the day. And having said that, everything doesn't have to be in there at that SIDS-4. We propose to continue our work with SIDS around the world to sustain this SIDS IGF going forward, and it would help us to chart our way forward for the work of the SIDS IGF as well. The SIDS IGF, many of the organizers of it also are involved with the dynamic coalition for SIDS that works within the UN IGF system. So we will take advantage of what comes out of the SIDS IGF to feed into, well, yes, our Caribbean IGF and the DC SIDS. So to work through multiple channels, all towards the overall goal of charting a way forward for resilient prosperity for SIDS. So the target audience, of course, would be the SIDS-4 conference attendees, but this particular IGF, SIDS IGF, would also be a hybrid event. So we'll invite academia, civil society, government policy makers, and so on. And I'll urge you to keep an eye on the CTU website going forward as more details emerge on the agenda and specifics around this second SIDS IGF taking place that would be staged in Antigua and Barbuda during the SIDS-4 conference. Thanks. Actually, I'll stop there for any questions.
Yes, thank you very much. And just 2 comments. One for Sai Nagoti, if you're able to share your contact information, if you don't want to put it in the general chat and you prefer to message directly, you can do that as well to Mr. Brian Carter. Next comment with respect to the SIDS IGF, Nigel, is that 90 minutes is insufficient for the SIDS IGF, and can we receive a longer time slot? I believe that's a concern we discussed internally. But what course do we have to get that time extended so that we can have at least half a day perhaps to discuss topics?
What I might suggest, SG, is that we use the opportunity of the side event, but not necessarily be limited by that. So we could probably formulate a SIDS IGF program, part of which would be the specific side event, and maybe do some other things as well on the outside.
Okay, yes, and a comment here on the remote participation. Absolutely, the SIDS IGF will facilitate remote participation.
Yes.
And also, I think we need to ensure that we go through the process of having it formally recognized by the UN, also on the IGF side of things as a national and regional initiative, as well as was done on the first occasion.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you both for that update on SIS4. We look forward to attending and participating. Of course, most of us are from small island developing states and are very keen on ensuring that we advance the interests of SIDS in all international policy development processes, including ICANN, ITU, and other spaces. So look forward to participating. So thank you both. We were meant to have a presentation from the ITU. Unfortunately, Mr. Thomas is not available at this time, so we will go straight to Mr. Alberto Canavo to tell us about IEEE's GEM conference, Gaming, Entertainment, and Media. This was held in Barbados last year, and I see it's being hosted in Italy. Mr. Canavo, can you go ahead, please?
Yep, I'm here. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Hello everyone, and good evening, good afternoon. My name is Alberto Canavo, and I am an assistant professor with time contact at Politecnico di Torino in Italy. First of all, I would like to thank the CPU for this invitation and for giving me the opportunity to present GEM. And so today I'm here on behalf of the other organizers to present to you the 2024 IEEE CTSOC Conference on Gaming, Entertainment and Media. This conference, the GEM conference, invite researchers and industry stakeholders to share research, idea, designs, advancement, and experience on the state-of-the-art and future direction of consumer technologies related to gaming, entertainment, and media. More specifically, it encompasses all aspects of interactive digital media, including digital games, game design, new enabling technologies, interactive environments, advancement consumer technology systems, immersive experience, robotics, novel sensing technology, just to name a few fields. GEM 2024 is intended for researchers and practitioners who seek to integrate technology with art, media, and entertainment. For this reason, target attendance could be in the field of human-computer interaction, digital art, creative art, humanities, cultural heritage, education, cybernetics, cyber psychology, and so on. Currently, we plan to organize an in-person event, and registration for authors are already open, but registration for general attendee and the related fees will be published after April 26, and we close on May 12th. This slide is just, I don't want to delve into much detail, but this slide is just to summarize the topic of interest for this conference, and it is just to show you how comprehensive and multidisciplinary this conference is. As you can see, several topics have been considered, ranging from security and privacy for multimedia to analytics and instruction and exploitation, production tools and workflow, audio, video, signal and signal processing, digital twin accessibility, inclusion in games, etc., etc. As anticipated before my talk, the last edition of GEM took place in the beautiful frame of Bridgetown in Barbados, and this year the conference will be held in Turin, in Italy, from the 5th to the 7th of June 2024. So why choosing Turin? Turin is the first. It has a lot of touristic attraction, and there are several reasons to visit Italy and to visit Turin, especially. In fact, Turin was the first capital of Italy before Florence and Rome. It has the second world largest Egyptian museum in the world. It has a lot of museums, National Automobile Museum and the National Cinema Museum. There are several royal residents belonging to the Savoy family, which are considered UNESCO heritage sites. It has also more than 10 kilometers of arcades dedicated to shopping, and it is very close to Langhe and Monferrato Vineyard, which are again considered UNESCO heritage sites. Besides the numerous tourist attractions, the city of Turin has also a strategic position in Europe, as well as convenient and fast transportation to the major city in Italy, but also abroad. This makes the city of Turin the perfect location for hosting an international conference. The conference will be the IEEE GEM conference is patroned by and will be held at Politecnico di Torino. Politecnico di Torino is the first Italian school for engineering in Italy, and it has been training engineers, architects, and designers for over 160 years. The international ranking have rated Politecnico di Torino among the top European technical university for education and research, with thousands of students coming worldwide and teaching research staff engaging in several European projects. A few words on the upcoming edition of IEEE GEM. So starting from the International Organizing Committee that include selected members from the previous edition of GEM and volunteers coming from the Consumer Technology Society. And for this reason, members are from both academia and industries. The calls for paper and contribution are almost closed for this year, and we are currently reviewing the contributions submitted in the last round. Overall, more than 107 contributions were received, which include regular and short paper, special section and special session papers, tutorials, workshop, interactive exhibition, and an industry forum. The image on the right and the right side of this slide show you the tentative program of the conference we are working on. We plan to have 7 parallel sessions for technical contributions, 3 keynote speakers, interactive session dedicated to workshop and tutorials, an industry forum, and some social events aimed at fostering collaboration and organizing new network. Analyzing the data available on the received submission, it can be easily observed that the conference will welcome participants from all over the world. Numerous contributions are from, for example, for USA, Canada, China, Japan, and various countries in Europe. For what it concerns the technical background, the majority of the participants are from academia, and in this respect, several universities and top universities are represented, such as Harvard University, Trinity College, EPFL, Okayama University, and National Taipei University of Technology, just to name a few. Interestingly, we also received contributions from several companies, such as MathWorks, ST Microelectronics, Microsoft Research Asia, and Logitech. These are just an example. As said before, we already have 3 confirmed keynote speakers. The first one will be Dr. Chiariglione, the founder of the MPEG Standard Committee. Then we will have Professor Mariano Alcanitz, which is the founding director of the Immersive Neurotechnology Lab at the Universitat Politecnica de Valencia in Spain, and Professor Zuffo, who is the coordinator of the Interactive Electronic Group and the Laboratory for Integrated Systems in Brazil. We are planning to have several social activities. More specifically, we are planning social activities in the downtown of Turin to let attendees get know the city of Turin, of course, and its beauties, but also for providing participant opportunities for networking. As a matter of example, the program includes a gala dinner that will take place at Villa Sassi, which is a historical building built in the 7th century, which is very, very close to the city of Turin. There are, as mentioned before, the calls for technical contribution are most closed. But if you are interested in submitting some technical paper, you can send us an email. But to be part of this edition of IEEE GEM, there is also the possibility to become a sponsor or a patronage for this conference. More specifically, sponsor and patrons will be able to engage the decision maker attending the conference in discussion about, for example, critical issue and possible solutions. They can either launch a whole new product or remarket the current company offering to satisfy previously undefined academic, industry, and creative sector. They will get also the opportunity to inform the market about the company's abilities to assist stakeholders in refining their current operation and business strategies. And they will be allowed to have brainstorming session and create new network with active academics, professional, and artists in order to get new emerging idea and business opportunity. Several sponsorship packages are available. Each one is characterized by different features and opportunities. If you have any question or would you like to customize a package for your company, or you want to propose a package for your company that fit the requirement of your company, feel free to contact us by sending an email. You can see the email in these slides. This is my last slides. So thank you. These are the current patrons and sponsors of the conference. So this is my last slide. So again, thank you for this invitation. And in this slide, you can find the link of the conference and again, the email if you want to contact us.
Thank you very much for that. Did you receive any submissions from the Caribbean? I noticed that University of the West Indies is listed there. Among universities.
Yes, we received one submission for a paper from from Barbados. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right, thank you. I don't see any questions here for you, so I want to just thank you for updating us on that very important conference, and we wish you success as well. There was a question about fellowships to participate. Are there any available?
Sorry, I don't get your question. Then,
with respect to fellowships to participate in the event, is there an opportunity to provide? Are there any fellowships being offered to participate for any particular groups or individuals? Yes.
Caribbean wanted to.
Yes, the conference provide the possibility to participate. We will open the general attendees registration in the next days, and this conference of course will provide you the possibility to create new networks and to meet new industries and academics from all over the world. So yes.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to go on in the interest of time to Mr. Albert Daniels, who will tell us about ICANN 80, the policy forum taking place in Kigali, Rwanda. Albert?
Thank you very much, Secretary General. I just want to confirm, can you see my screen, my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Once again, congratulations to the CTU and to you, Secretary General, and your staff for hosting this very important meeting that prepares us in the Caribbean and beyond for upcoming meetings regionally and internationally that are important to our region. My focus today will be on ICANN 80, which is one of our 3 ICANN meetings per year that takes place across the globe. This year, next meeting from the 10th to the 13th of June, we will be going to Kigali, Rwanda, and we will be having a policy forum at ICANN 80. I'll explain in a moment what a policy forum is. ICANN has... Sorry,
Albert, something seems to happen with your presentation. We're just seeing a white line in the middle.
You're just seeing a white line. What about now? Are you
seeing me? Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
It's okay now. Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep doing what I'm doing now. So ICANN essentially has 3 different types of meetings per year. we have a community forum, a policy forum, and the annual general meeting. So ICANN 80, which is coming up in Kigali, is going to be a policy forum. And the policy forum is typically a shorter meeting, if you look at the dates, where most of the constituencies, I'll explain what those are in a moment, actually focus on doing actual policy development work. I just wanted to say, if you look at this diagram, if you look at this slide, you'll see that we just came out recently of the community forum in San Juan, and there was a very special session at that community forum dedicated to small island developing states. And at that community forum in San Juan, we agreed that at the next meeting that we have in Istanbul, we are actually going to have another SID session. So there will be no SID session at the policy forum simply because it's a shorter meeting, but you see the progression from community forum to policy forum to annual general meeting. So very importantly, ICANN 80 is taking place in Kigali from the 10th to the 13th. And in the period leading up to ICANN 30, we have what we refer to as Prep Week from the 28th to the 30th of May. And these are online sessions which are designed to prepare particularly newcomers for attending the ICANN meeting in person or remotely. All ICANN meetings have remote participation. So if you are not able to attend in person, there's also the opportunity to participate remotely. And very importantly, I thought I would include some information on ICANN 81, which happens after ICANN 80 and also ICANN 82. And the reason why I included the dates for those meetings is because of what I wanted to say about the fellowship program. ICANN provides fellowships to attend our meetings. It's a competitive process, and anyone can apply for these fellowships. And if you are successfully completed the process and selected as a fellow, then we would provide our support in the area of financial contribution to your airfare. We would pay for your airfare, and we will also pay for your accommodation and give you a small stipend to attend the meeting, regardless of where the meeting actually is. As you'll see from this slide, the process of application for fellowships for ICANN 80 is closed, and those fellows will announce on the 18th of August. What's going to happen is that on the 19th of March, 2024, the fellowship application round will open for ICANN 81. So if you are interested to going to the meeting in Istanbul, this is the annual general meeting. You will need to make sure that you complete your application before the 19th of April, 2024. The fellowships will open from the 19th of March, and the process will close on the 19th of April. And then after that, in July, from the 18th of July, the process for fellowship applications will open for ICANN 82. So this information is also available on the ICANN website. So for those of you who are new to ICANN, it's important to understand that in the ICANN ecosystem, there are essentially three main components. The most important component, which are the global multi-stakeholders, representatives of the business community, representatives of governments, representatives of end users, representatives of the technical community. And these are the folk in an ICANN meeting that would get together, discuss policies, and move the process of policy development forward. Once policies have been drafted and proposed by the community, they then go to the ICANN board for further discussion and invitation for a public comment on these policies. And then the ICANN board takes a vote. And in the end, if the policy is approved, then the board passes this policy on to the ICANN organization and the staff for implementation. So these ICANN meetings that take place are an opportunity for you, the governments, for you, the business community, you, the technical community, to shape the type of internet that we actually have. And there are three entities within ICANN that develop policies. Numbering policy is developed by the numbering community, which we refer to as the address supporting organization, and policies with regard to country code top-level domain names and with regard to generic top-level domain names are developed by the CCNSO and the GNSO respectively. And these different groups actually meet in an ICANN setting, and they develop policy and move the policy development process forward. While policies are being developed, the ICANN board gets advice from advisory committees, the at-large advisory committee, which represents the views, interests, and concerns of end users, the governmental advisory committee, which we refer to loosely as the GAC, and the root server system advisory committee, this group of entities that manage root servers, which are a key component of internet infrastructure, and of course, the security and stability advisory committee. So during the process of policy development within the ICANN multi-stakeholder community, you have these three supporting organizations, the ASO, the CCNSO, and the GNSO, making policy and developing policy and moving it forward, while at the same time you have the at-large advisory committee, the security and stability advisory committee, the root server system advisory committee, and the governmental advisory committee advising the board on the impacts of these policies. So this is what happens in an ICANN meeting. So the governmental advisory committee represents the views and concerns of governments, and we call it the GAC, and each country of the world, including each country of the Caribbean, has the opportunity to have a representative attend an ICANN meeting. There's a space. And what we try to do in the Caribbean is have a preparatory meeting, a preparatory webinar for our Caribbean GAC representatives to actually prepare them for going into an ICANN meeting. This is hosted by the Latin America and the Caribbean Stakeholder Engagement Group. And the actual webinar is facilitated by ICANN senior staff and senior and support staff of the GAC. And this session is actually customized for the Latin America and the Caribbean region. So it's not a global session meant for all governments of the world, but it's meant specifically for our Latin America and Caribbean representatives. And it is particularly useful for new GAC attendees who've never been to an ICANN meeting in explaining the structure of the GAC, how the GAC functions, and how the governmental advisory committee actually advises the ICANN board through something which is known as a GAC communique. And the GAC webinar is also valuable to experienced and returning GAC representatives because it gives an idea of the hot topics that will be discussed at the ICANN meeting. It gives an idea of how to prepare for interactions with the ICANN board and also interactions with the supporting organizations and the advisory committees. Another important aspect of ICANN, or this should be ICANN 80, is the ICANN 80 Prep Week. And this is an online preparatory meeting, like I mentioned earlier, and it's open to both new and experienced ICANN stakeholders. It explains the structure of the upcoming ICANN meeting and talks about the topics that can be expected to be discussed at the ICANN meeting, and it frames important policy that is actually going to be developed. And there'll be an announcement pretty soon on the ICANN website of when this actual prep week is going to take place. Some of the key topics that you can expect to be discussed at ICANN 80 are the ICANN grant program. ICANN is now opening up a system of giving grants for different projects that will be financed by monies that were made in the auctions that were held for the last round of generic top-level domain names. So it's very important if you have a project, if you have submitted an application to attend the ICANN meeting and understand what's happening with the grant program. There will be a discussion and policy movement with regard to the next round of new generic top-level domain names. There will be discussion on something called the RDRS, the Registration Data Request Service, which is a service that can be used by different requesters of registration data. Law enforcement typically needs that kind of data when they want to go after bad actors who are abusing the domain name system. So this RDRS will be discussed at the next ICANN meeting. ICANN 80, we will be looking carefully at the topic of universal acceptance, making sure that all of these new domains, all of these domains in foreign language characters, like Russian, Chinese, Hindi, Arabic, and so on. We want to make sure that all of our hotel websites, all of our government websites can accept domain names in these new characters and can process those email addresses. If somebody from Saudi Arabia wants to visit one of our Caribbean countries and they want to stay in a hotel, they have an email address in Saudi Arabian characters, which works perfectly, but some of our systems in the Caribbean may not have been upgraded to accept these addresses. So that kind of issue will be looked at. And the one aspect of cybersecurity, which relates to ICANN, the domain name system abuse, will be a big topic at ICANN 80 meeting. Now, a unique happening at ICANN 80 will be the high-level government meeting. Now, this high-level government meeting does not occur at every ICANN meeting. It only happens every 2 years. And the aim of the high-level government meeting is to raise high-level political awareness about ICANN's role and activities in the broader context of internet governance. And it's important to understand that this is not simply a GAC meeting on steroids. There are some who may be quite familiar with how the Governmental Advisory Committee functions at ICANN, and they need to understand that this is not simply an extended GAC meeting, but rather it is a very high-level meeting. Typically, at an ICANN meeting, you find technocrats, you find officials who are following ICANN from governments on a regular basis, but you do not find the highest level officials from governments. So at this high-level government meeting, what is attempted is a reaffirmation of the critical role that governments play in providing advice to the ICANN board on public policy issues as it relates to a secure, stable, and open internet.
Here's some results from the web.
It enables all parties to gain a clearer understanding of the role that governments play in ICANN processes. So it's a way, for example, for your high-level minister to understand better what you as a GAC representative may actually be doing at ICANN meetings regularly. And this is why it is typically not the GAC representative for a country that attends this high-level meeting. At this meeting, we discussed current public policy issues at a higher level and the challenges that very senior officials may actually face. And this discussion will occur perhaps across governments and also between different governments and the ICANN leadership. So here you have something that doesn't normally happen at an ICANN meeting. You have the ICANN board, the ICANN CEO, actually having discussions with government ministers. It exposes very senior administrative officials and senior elected officials, ministers, members of legislative bodies to ICANN, allowing them to gain a greater understanding of ICANN as an organization and the issues that it deals with. In turn, this high-level government meeting typically leads to greater support for GAC representatives, greater support for CCTLD managers in terms of pursuing their functions within the ICANN multi-stakeholder community. So it's very important. Invitations to this meeting went out very early, many months ago, by the Rwanda government. We have been tracking in ICANN responses, and I have to tell you, and I had this discussion with Secretary General, that at the last ICANN meeting, the response from the Caribbean was very poor. Many of the status indicators for the governments of the Caribbean was no response received, has not responded. So this is something that we will need to try to correct quickly before the meeting, because there are also some fellowship slots for ministers of government to actually attend the high-level government meeting. ICANN is paying for some ministers their airfare and their accommodation specifically to participate in this high-level government meeting. And I can tell you, not all the slots have been taken up. So there's still an opportunity to reach out to your government minister, ask him if or her, if they have received the invitation, make sure that somebody high-level from your government is actually going to be participating in this high-level government meeting. So that basically brings me to the end of the topics that I wanted to cover with regard to ICANN 80 and the high-level government meeting that will be taking place at ICANN 80. And I'm happy to take any questions that anyone may have on anything that I've covered so far. Thank you very much. Back to you, Rodney.
Thank you, Albert, for that very comprehensive update. We know you have another opportunity to brief the ministers directly at our ministerial retreat next week in Belize. So I am going to move on in the interest of time. If any questions pop up, we can answer them in the chat. So thank you. That really takes us to the end of the meetings part of it. We just have two very short presentations. This is the Industry Watch segment where we're looking at two topics, the artificial intelligence and in particular the UN high-level process of which Dr. Craig Ramlal is involved. He's a lecturer at the University of the West Indies and a member of the United Nations High-Level Advisory Body on Artificial Intelligence. So we just thought we would take the opportunity to talk with him for a few minutes about that process, how it is going, and what we can anticipate at the upcoming Summit of the Future with respect to the work that this body has done. And then we'll have a brief presentation as well from Ms. Sonia Agnes from Omdia, who will give us an update on 5G trends. So, Craig, go ahead, please.
Oh, thanks. Let me share my screen. Can you guys hear me and see my screen?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks. Okay, so I think I'll just go very quickly on what the body has accomplished so far, what is intended to happen, and where we see the future, at least for the next year, the plans that are set in motion for now. So the idea of the body was to create this global membership where we can discuss the issues of AI. Right now, we know that there's no global alignment on the implementation for AI, especially in terms of interoperability between jurisdictions or in terms of incentives or compliance within jurisdictions. There's a lack of common standards and documents and benchmarks among national and multinational risk management frameworks, as well as multiple definitions of AI used in such frameworks. So that kind of messes up how you do the regulation. And so AI is moving very quickly. So the UN decided that they needed to construct a body on that is representative of the 193 nations on, how do we get ahead of this? So they constructed the advisory body on AI, and the idea is to facilitate a global and inclusive conversation across stakeholders and sectors about this transformative technology and how it can benefit the humanity, and how we can ensure it. So it's an opportunity to draw together disparate efforts into a global approach. And they are doing it at the highest level politically and internationally. During AI's current development, they named this the Global AI Imperative. And so we know that the globally coordinated AI governance framework is the only way to harness AI for humanity, to address the risks and uncertainties, as well as to unlock its opportunities as AI becomes more widespread internationally. So to do this, the UN aims to foster it, of course, in this globally inclusive approach. And so the UN Secretary General convened a multi-stakeholder high-level advisory body in October last year. And the idea would be to create recommendations about international governance on AI, and the input would be included in the Global Digital Compact. So the UNSG's AI body will engage and consult with existing and emerging initiatives, international organizations, governments, and so on, to bridge perspectives across the stakeholder groups and networks. The body is made up of 39 members across 33 nationalities from all 5 UN regional groups. It's gender balanced and it represents diverse perspectives from across experts in industry, private sector, academia, civil society, and so on. And so in December last year, we released our interim report. The report was meant to discuss our initial thoughts. It's not meant to be as specific as possible, right? So it's meant to just discuss our initial thoughts on how AI governance should work. It was meant to be very general to get feedback so that we can have a more concrete and specific recommendations going forward. So during the period of January to May, we would be consulting with these various groups, and we'd be convening meetings and with several experts from across the world. And the final report should be included by the end of August. And so in the interim report, we highlighted a couple of things. We highlighted the global governance deficit in AI. We highlighted the risks, challenges, and opportunities and enablers to help AI to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We provided some preliminary recommendations of multiple kinds of AI governance instead of a single model. And with that, we had 5 guiding principles for the formation of a new governance AI institution and 7 institutional governance for AI. And so the 5 principles that we are governed by would be: AI should be governed inclusively by and for the benefit for all. AI must be governed in public interest. It should be built in step with data governance and promotion of data commons. AI governance must be universal, networked, and rooted in adaptive multi-stakeholder cooperation. And it should be anchored in the UN Charter, the International Human Rights Law, and other agreed international commitments, such as the SDGs. In the interim report, we proposed that an international governance regime for AI should carry out at least these 7 functions that you see here. And so very quickly, they would include horizon scanning, interoperability, mediating standards, facilitation of development, and usability regimes, and so on. And that these functions can be carried out by individual institutions globally or by a network of institutions. And so coming to now in May, what has happened is that after we submitted the interim report, in Agenda 13 of the 63rd meeting of the 78th United Nations General Assembly session, there was an adopted resolution on seizing the opportunities of safe, secure, and trustworthy AI systems for sustainable development. Ourselves, UNESCO, ITU were included in that document on the work that we are doing. And then finally, we wrote the 5th objective in the Zero Draft Global Digital Compact entitled Governing Emerging Technologies, including AI for Humanity, and so on. I just wanted to go quickly over what we wrote. And so you can look at it at 49A. If you look at this slide, you can pull up the link for it. And so some of the items were that we are looking to establish an international scientific panel on AI to conduct independent multidisciplinary scientific risk and evidence-based assessments. This panel would produce, every 6 months, they would produce a report. They would support common assessment methodologies in AI definitions and taxonomies, and support inclusive academic partnerships for research and knowledge management in AI. We're also looking to initiate an annual global dialogue on AI governance with expert representatives from civil society, academia, the technical community, private sector, and the government, AI safety institutes, and other equivalent choices. And from there, we would push the dialogue for shared understandings of interoperability in AI and so on. We are looking to call on international and national standard-setting organizations to collaborate to promote harmonization of AI standards. And these standards are more based on risk. So they are not electronic standards that would include AI. They are more on safety, reliability, environmental sustainability, gender equality, and so on. And then we're looking to commit to an increased AI capacity building, leveraging existing efforts such as ITU's AI for Good conference, UNESCO's readiness assessment methodology, WHO's digital health initiatives, and other efforts. And so in order to get these things done, one of the requests we made was that we would like to request that the President of the General Assembly to appoint at the 79th session of the General Assembly co-facilitators to establish a Secretary General's Global Fund for AI and Emerging Technologies for Sustainable Development. We are looking at $100 million US for the target launch in 2025. The idea of this fund would be to support the development of compute capacity and local datasets, the generation of local datasets to inform the public use of AI at scale. Of course, this is very necessary, at least for the Caribbean region. We are looking at supporting the development of compute capacity that can apply existing AI methods. We are looking at the building and delivering of AI skills and the promotion and alignment of AI-based solutions for SDGs. So that's it for my presentation.
Thank you very much, Craig. It's a shame that we're so pressed for time because there's a lot in your presentation, a lot of questions I have as well. But we're going to take the last presentation first before we leave it just a few minutes for questions. I wouldn't want to rob Omdia of the opportunity to present. So if you're on, Sonia, please go ahead.
Hello, Rodney. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'll share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second. I have it here. So, well, I know it's a challenge to be the last speaker, so I tried to do a quick presentation on 5G key trends. And let me introduce you a little bit of Omdia, who we are. Basically, we are a leading technology, media, and telecoms research and consulting firm that was founded in UK in 1970. We are more than 400 analysts across the world. And basically, we give independent opinion because we work virtually with all leading players across the digital economy ecosystem. So to start, I'd like to highlight the relevance of 5G and fiber connectivity. These technologies are fundamental base of the main transformative technologies that are transforming the world, bringing digitalization and innovation. These are massive IoT, artificial intelligence, cloud and big data, immersive reality, that's virtual reality, mixed reality, natural language processing, and cybersecurity. So understanding that without this foundation of high-speed connectivity, none of these transformational technologies would be possible. So now I'd like to speak a little bit how we are doing with 5G. What's the status of this technology? One of the key topics that we cover in Omdia is 5G in an holistic way, from networks to services. And we regularly track what's happening in 5G in terms of adoption, new networks, services, and what we see is this gaining really a lot of traction. By December, there were almost 2 billion 5G connections available worldwide. But it's important to understand that only 3 countries represented 76% of total connections. These are China, US, and India. In Latin America and the Caribbean, we are still in early stages, but growing at a higher pace every quarter as network expands, subscribers acquire 5G-ready smartphones, and new countries make 5G spectrum available. You can see that India has more than 150 million connections, having only launched in the 4th quarter of 2022. In almost a year, it's already at the top 3 of 5G connections ranking worldwide. And it's very interesting to know that it only 10% of the households in India have a fixed broadband connection. So mobile connectivity is really very, very relevant. And this is a slide that was presented in the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona by the Department of Telecommunications in India, showing the relevance of telecoms for the Indian economy. In India, telecoms represent 9% of the total GDP and brings $11 billion in export, bringing new jobs and foreign investment. This is an example to show the impact of this technology might have in one country. So now I'd like to go to the region, and I'd like to share with you some of the results of a study that we did together with Omdia of why 5G in Latin America. In this study, we identified the revenue impact of 5G by economic sector. Based on another study that we did globally, we extrapolated those results to Latin America reality and analyzed the impact in each sector of the economy. So, depending the sector, 5G could be around 2% of additional sales to up to 10% of additional revenue, an average 5% impact by 2035 across the different sectors. But the main difference of this technology that 5G can bring is basically regarding productivity improvement. I always like to mention that one of the most important challenges that we have in the region is productivity. The relative output per worker in Latin America is only around 25% of an output per worker in the US and has remained constant from 1950, according to CAF. This means that for every worker in the US, 4 workers are needed in Latin America to produce the same output. But we believe that with 5G, there are opportunities to generate a one-time impact productivity boost. We based in a study conducted by Bell Labs that identified that 5G could contribute significantly to productivity jump during 2029 to 2035 timeframe, when the penetration of 5G would be reaching a tipping point of 51%. So this productivity jump is crucial and could generate a very important effect of what's been developing these years, but we'll see the results in a few years ahead. So in this study, we created a model to see the 5G economics and opportunities, the impacts of this technology would have in productivity and revenue, and we estimated it for Latin America and the Caribbean as a whole, and in detail for the 5 leading economies of the region. We determined the net present value of this wealth generation and the productivity gains. So we calculated that 5G could add 3.3 trillion US dollars of value by 2035 and $9 trillion US dollars improvement in productivity. The sectors more impacted are ICT, manufacturing, government, including smart cities, retail, agriculture, and then other sectors. But as I said, the most important impact would be related to productivity. A Latin American country, in average, grows around 3% per year in the GDP. But adding 5G, it could bring an additional percentage point to its GDP every country. So instead of having a 3% growth, would mean a 4% growth in a 5G scenario. So going to the different sectors, we can see that if we think in the consumer side, the first use case that's been generating more interest is fixed wireless access. Is a good opportunity for developing high-speed broadband in certain areas, but also for B2B opportunities related to new products. Then also in terms of B2B and B2C, you can see the immersive technologies that are coming ahead that are not only for entertainment and gaming, as we could see, but also for education, for manufacturing, for many uses that are coming and would change the way that we interact every day and with every person and every object. So really many opportunities ahead with immersive technologies. And then, as I said, this is more related to enterprise where the real opportunity for 5G is coming. We see that here in 5G, most of the opportunity has related to private networks, but it's important to know that you can start with 4G and then evolve the private network to 5G and other technologies as well. And the different sectors, the first one would be manufacturing, but there are many opportunities in other areas. You can see, for example, for the Caribbean and the cities in Latin America, the smart cities opportunities are really very important to give better services to citizens, security, also all the management of in the cities, and also with the environmental and sustainability view. Then another area that's really important is ports, how you can make more ports more efficient and contribute for exports and imports. Then manufacturing, as I said before, stadiums related not only to security and control, but also advertising and to make the events more immersive, and really a lot of opportunities here. Oil and gas for certain countries could be a huge opportunity ahead. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is fiber, because as I said, for 5G, you need fiber because of the density of the networks. And we developed in Omdia together with the World Broadband Association, this index that does a ranking every year of the different countries, not only considering fiber penetration, but also fiber experience in terms of the consumer. That's really very important. And we can see here that we have Chile and Uruguay in the top of ranking of the 10 most developed countries in terms of fiber, and we hope to include the Caribbean region soon. So going back to 5G, what's the to-do list for the policymakers? The first one, really, it's very clear. It's a spectrum policy to have the availability of the 5G spectrum with reasonable costs and favorable conditions. Then infrastructure policy for the deployment, competition, consumer protection law, and of course, the collaboration between the different regulators and the legislation update. Since deploying a 5G network involves large sunk costs and long payback periods, it's fundamental for investors to have clarity and certainty of the legal and regulatory landscape for the coming years. So this is the most important things of the report, and please don't hesitate to contact us if you need any other information. And thank you very much for this invitation.
Thank you very much as well, Sonia. Very, very interesting presentation. With respect to those countries that are advanced, you mentioned three: India, US, and China. What specific policies have they focused on to incentivize investment in the sector in 5G?
Yes, I think that the government involvement is very important. Really, releasing the spectrum is the first policy ahead, and also creating the favorable conditions for competition in the country. Also, we can see there's been, for example, in the US, several initiatives to help operators to deploy the networks with specific loans. Also in China, there's important push of the government. And India, really also the lack of having a fixed network has been also an important driver for the growth of 5G so quickly. Also, there has been several partnerships between operators and manufacturers to have low-cost smartphones. That also is an important driver for adoption.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to pose the next question to Craig. It's coming from the chat. And the question is, I have to scroll back up, but it came from Tracy Hackshaw, and specifically, how can small island developing states and the Caribbean specifically benefit from the work of the AI advisory body?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so we are having multiple engagements, and the Latin American and Caribbean region includes one of them, where we would be sending out invitations to hear what the specific issues on AI would be and how we can incorporate that into the final report and into the Global Digital Compact. Another thing that we are doing is, especially in the getting compute resources, talent, and data, we are trying to look at how we can get some of these resources down to at least the Caribbean level. That's what I'm trying to do, being as part of the body, and so that we can develop some of these nations, especially in terms of AI. I see AI as if we don't develop AI in the Caribbean, I see it as a risk, as a socioeconomic shock that will happen to the region. So I think that it's very important that we strategize on how we can, we should be in a position to receive some of these things when they happen. So if we can, get some things going so that when it happens, we can start.
All right, thank you very much. We are out of time. Trevor has a burning question.
Burning question, yeah. Sorry. In your presentation, and I probably missed it, I didn't hear anything about what AI is going to do, what it can do first. Is it something, because I saw certain sort of groups mentioned, but I saw nothing about for PWDs.
Persons with disabilities, is that something that...
Because obviously the UN was the one who developed the charter. So
I think please take a look at the interim report where we looked at the different sectors and the different groups that we would be engaging with to produce the final report, and they were included in there. It's also peace and security, European agencies, education sector, youth, AI standards. So most of these multi-sectoral groups are there.
Okay, so I think we do have to wrap now. We are beyond time. I want to thank the presenters, all of you, for your participation. I would kindly ask you to share the slides with us so that we can make them available to participants. And we will give you full credit, of course. And lastly, I would appreciate if those of you who participated can give us your feedback. There's a link in the chat with a feedback form. And yeah, we appreciate your feedback, and we would aim to improve these sessions going forward. As you see, there's a lot. And even with just 10 minutes, we have gone beyond the time because of the number of meetings that are coming up. And this is just in the next quarter. So we thank you for your time and your attention. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. And we wish you a wonderful afternoon. And we look forward to you joining us again for the third forecast meeting in 3 months. Thank you.